You're now tuned in to the Dub East Coaches Show with head coach Marcus Gold and your host, Anthony James.
All right, welcome back to the W East Coaches Show. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hey, as you can see, I'm wearing my 7-0 T-shirt and also my 7-0 Texas A&M hat on as well.
We don't got a Cowboys hat on today.
Had to represent both of them. Yes, sir.
Listen, Coach, like we right now we're building momentum. We're stacking. I'm gonna call them convincing wins because again they've been both sides of the ball, all three phases of the ball have been going on. So. Before we even get into this week, because we know this week is going to be a tough week again because end of the season, that's what happens, yes, tough weeks. Let's just talk about the last two victories we had. So South Garland, team 55-0 win. Tell me how you feel your team competed during that game.
Yeah, man, I think we came out and took care of business. I think, when you're playing really well and sometimes you play up to a standard, sometimes you play down to a standard. I tell the kids week in and week out, man, you just play at your standard, whatever that is. You're facing you and how much better we can grow and how much better we can get better because we know that obviously we're officially we're in the playoffs now, and those first two rounds is going to be a really, really tough opponent. So for us to continue to get better over the course of weeks, no matter who we play, we're always going to face a different challenge week in and week out. I thought our kids in all three phases, special teams, offense, defense, took care of business on the field, and everybody got a chance to play. That's what's great. Everybody works hard in our program. They put in that work from December all the way till August, and to get an opportunity to get out there and show off in front of your family and all that. And what was great about it, the last thing is, we brought such an awesome crowd to the last couple of away games. Was really impressive, especially on a Thursday night. So shout out to all the W's Nation for showing up.
Well, we appreciate y'all for showing up. So before, I'm not going to get into stats about the South Garland game, thing like that, but I want to talk about Victor Young. And him actually getting the start, getting the chance to play. Obviously only 2 for 3 passing, but it had 130 rushing yards. As a true freshman, I'm called true freshman, no red shirt, but as a freshman playing on varsity, how important for him to get those reps, those quarterback reps as well for you?
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a good athlete and all around, and he's been ever since he came into our junior high campus. We knew he was going to be a special player. I've only had 2 freshmen and since I've been a head coach for 8 years that have played on varsity, and he's one of them. And he's week in, week out. We don't know how many plays he's going to get. Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 20? And he does a really good job of just continuing to stay locked in the game on the sideline. As a young athlete who's 15 years old, it's hard when you're not out there playing to be taking those mental reps. And he does that every day in practice, watching either Jaden at quarterback. He's got 2 great receivers to watch with AP and King and John and Amir, and kudos to those guys because they help him too. When he gets in the game, they're talking to him. Our coaches are talking to him. We want to make sure he's comfortable when he's in there and he's able to play fast. And he as a freshman, he looks comfortable when he's in the game. He made great throws. You fear that he catches the ball and now he's just ready to scramble already. Man, he sat in that pocket really good, trusts his teammates. He did a good job just playing both receiver and quarterback for us.
All right, last thing about the South Garland game. So I know you talked about, everyone getting play and things like that, but how important was it for everyone to get those reps, just those in-game reps, especially those young guys who haven't got a chance to play a whole lot?
Yeah, just even your second-tier group that comes in the game is such a big deal because you just never know. In a game of football, it's such a physical and violent football game. Anybody can go out in any given moment, and that has to be that next person be able to step in the game. Luckily, we have been really healthy throughout the year. Now we've had some injuries on the O-line that guys have had to step in. We've had some injuries in the back end on defense at times where guys have had to step in. And in those moments, you find out some guys that can play. Josh Thibodeau, he's one that you're not going to hear about a lot because he doesn't start a lot of games, but he's a backup center. He's a backup guard for us. He's one that we can plug and play at times. London Love, the little number 21 that you see. And some people are like, is that Mike Henderson still back there?
I see him.
That's Love back there. And Love has been, he didn't start this year as a starter every single game he's going into the game as a starter for us right now, whether it's safety or corner. So finding those guys like Kavion Thorne, who's played both sides of the ball, you get to learn a lot about your team when something does happen. Not everybody's freaking out. You have a backup plan.
All right. We're going to move on to Naaman Forest, 44-15 victory. I'm going to call it convincing because, again, it was I feel like guys controlled the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. Outscored Naaman 27-0 over that final 6-27 in the second quarter. So let's talk about finishing the that first half strong.
Yeah. Well, Naaman is a team that we all know is going to be a very good physical team. They're not going to be cute. They are who they are, and they're a physical team. So, one thing that sometimes people think Dub East is just flashy. Yeah. We ain't just flashy. We play physical football, and it starts with our linemen up front. And week in and week out, we have gotten compliments on our team of winning the game in the trenches and giving our backers the ability. You have somebody like Bryson Miller who's getting 17 tackles, but he's getting 17 tackles unblocked, and that's big for us. For guys to be able to make tackles in open space, for our running backs to have multiple creases and getting our run game going is always really big for us. So the big boys up front have certainly led those last two games.
All right, listen, we're going to talk about the momentum shift during one of those key plays. And, I got a love for the defensive line, seeing Nash Chap. I'm going to call it an interception. I don't know if it was an interception or a fumble. I don't know which one it was. 68-yard return for a touchdown. How was that play what did it feel like on the sideline after that?
Well, they tried to do a couple trick plays on us. I think our secondary did a really good job of being patient, watching the block and goes, watching the reverse quarterback stuff. That's going to come, in the next couple of weeks, and we've got to be ready for it. Then our D-line, man, we had a great pass rush last week. Quarterback took off scrambling, tipped it around, and it fell in Nash's hands. And he's a playmaker, right? He's one that's just we put him on the offensive side of the ball, try to throw him the ball every once in a while, and then just on defense, he's such a good athlete. Just to see him take off running down the sideline. What's funny about that? You go back and watch our video. I don't know who was faster, him or a couple of our coaches, our D-line coaches, Coach Davis, Coach Merriman, running down the sideline with us. So man, that was a huge momentum swing for us. I think. They had a penalty on that play. Yeah. We get it back with the 15-yard penalty, so we get the ball on the 50. Well, we've been sky kicking it throughout the night, and they were getting the ball on a 35, 40-yard line anyway. So we said, might as well onside it. We onside it. I mean, Glenn made a big hit. Gio made a great kick. Noah caught the ball, and then 2 plays later, we run the hook and ladder with King and Amir. So, man, what those 3 parts right there, special teams, defense, offense, were a big swing for us to go up 34-0 before half.
All right, before I dive back into some offense, I'm going to kind of go off my own script, but tell me how special when you see those special team plays, how it makes you feel. I feel like you have a special place in your heart when it comes to special team play, whether it's the trick play, the fake punts, the fake field goal, whether it's a onside kick, things like that. So talk about special teams and how important that is to you as a coach.
I mean, just me when I was a player, I thought special teams was big for us, and I think that is a third of the game that we can consistently win night in and night out. You try to win on offense, you try to win on defense, you come up with a game plan, you practice like crazy, but sometimes that ball just doesn't flop the right way for you. And sometimes they may come out in something in offense that you haven't seen, and it takes a while to make those adjustments and stop. Special teams, we practice those things consistently every single day in practice. We harp them. Coach Wyatt does an amazing job with our guys. Our starters are guys that play on special teams. And we tell the guys, if you're not a starter, if you can't start on special teams, you can't start on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. That's very important for us. So, man, it's awesome for it to pay off. Yes. It's, when our offensive and defensive coordinator are always, hey, we're doing this much time on special teams today. But you turn around and you look of how many touchdowns we've scored in our field position on special teams. There's not a lot of argument there to have. I
think we're up to 4 or 5 touchdowns this season on special teams right now. So I mean that's a whole game worth of points. So all right, offense continues to produce another 40-point game. And obviously special teams mix in things like that, defense. But let's keep talking about Jaden McLemore's efficiency, how he's spreading the ball around, things like that. 3 touchdowns, passing, 1 running. So talk about how that played into this game.
He's as comfortable when we first talked, right? In that McKinney North game, and people are like, "Oh, he's getting more comfortable." Y'all go back and listen to this podcast 4 episodes ago. We were telling you, McLemore has always been comfortable, and that's just who he is. And throughout the game for 4 quarters, with the athletes that we feel like we have at running back, the athletes that we feel like we have at receiver, we scored 7 points in that first quarter, but there's no pressure. We know that at any given moment we can explode for a 21 or a 28-point quarter, and it's up for the other team to be ready for it and adjust. We've done a better job at tempoing our offense. Some teams are starting to try to slow things down on their offensive side of the ball, so that might limit possessions for us. And he's the guy that runs the helm and being able to tempo, get those plays in, get everybody lined up, and get things going. And man, he did a really good job of just his accuracy in the pocket, controlling the ball. That's one thing that we've turned over the ball a few times in the last
no turnovers this game.
No turnovers this game, and that separates yourself in that game. To me, when you turn over the ball, you keep teams like that in it. And we did a good job.
All right, defensively, we held Naaman out of the end zone until late. We had that broken play for that long touchdown run. It's gonna happen. It is what it is. But aside from that, defense kind of kept everything bottled up. I think Naaman had was 207 yards total yard for the game. So I want to talk about the secondary because they had some athletes on the outside at receiver and things like that. So tell me how your secondary, not just I know we talked about Root before, but the rest of the secondary, how they kind of they control the run as well.
Well, the touchdown was my fault. I was the one. I got greedy. It was 3rd and long. I brought that 6-man pressure, and I knew it's either a big play, but if we miss him, he's gone. He's a good athletic quarterback. He's one that runs the ball really well. That has given us problems in the past, so we knew, hey, we've got to stop the run. We've got to make sure we got guys and eyes on the quarterback, and with that means your secondary. Guys like Perry and Love and Carter and Noah all have to play man coverage. So we harped on that this week. We played a little bit more man coverage. Our guys did a great job, and that keeps teams guessing because we have smart kids in our secondary. They're able to adjust and go from man. They can go to a lot of different coverages. They know we're able to change the other team checks. We may throw a check coverage out there that we might not even have practiced that week, but we've practiced over time that they are good at being able to adjust because a lot of them have played different positions. You got Perry, who's played strong safety and free safety. Noah's played strong, free, outside dog position that we call that little nickel position. Love has played free and nickel. Carter obviously flips on both sides of the ball. So we got a lot of guys that are very versatile in our secondary. We can do a lot of different coverages, but man was a big one for us. Just tackling the guy, don't, hey, they catch a 5-yard pass, a 6-yard slant, be there to make a tackle, prevent the big play because they're not a big play offense, right? They're going to move the ball down the field for you, but don't give them that. And I thought our guys did a good job of it.
All right. Last thing before we move on to the preview of Rowlett, I want to talk about a culture play that I saw. And I'm going to call it a culture play because it was end of the game. They're at around the 2 or 3 yard line. And your team, they could have let them walk in for a touchdown, things like that. But you're stopping them at the goal line to take over, to take a knee. Tell me how important plays like that, even at the end of the game when the game's in control and in command, that it helps the culture of your team.
Yeah. Well, one thing I tell parents in our parent meeting, I don't care if we're up by 50 points. I don't care if we're up by 60 points. In order for you to get in the game, you have to show us that you can produce. And you show us that you can produce by the way you practice. And when backups do go into the game, if the teams are marching down the field and scoring, the starters are going to go back in. You have to show us that you can go in there and be productive. And you go back to 2 weeks ago when we played South Garland, they didn't score any points that for 3 quarters when we did have R2s go into the game. This last week, we substituted some of the guys on the D line, and we were able to stop them. So that's big for us to be able to make those stops late in the game. Understand that every play, don't focus on the last one. Even though we're way up in the game, and don't focus on the game being over. Man, you just play that play, and our kids have done a good job ever since the spring of playing really good red zone defense, and everybody. obviously being into it and the energy on the sideline was really good too at the end of the game.
All right, we're gonna look ahead to Rowlett. So Rowlett's coming in 4-1 in the district. I'm not gonna call this any type of district champion because we still got a lot more games to play. But for wanting that district championship, that first district championship since 2022, let's talk about how Rowlett's playing. So give me some key players or some things that you're looking for when it comes to Rowlett.
Yeah, well, mathematically, if we win the game, we are already district champions, which is a huge deal for our program, right? That would be our third district championship since the school opened in 2010. We didn't set goals at the end of the year, and we just play game by game. And the awards we get at the end will tell themselves of how we did. So man, what a great moment for us, and against a really good, challenging team. Rowlett, man, they've been on fire. They're coached really well, and Derek Alford does a really good job over there. He's got a great background in the places that he's been. We know they're going to be disciplined. Their quarterback, he's pretty special.
He's throwing the ball all over the place.
He's running the ball a lot more this year. They have more of a balanced attack. Defense, they're making stops. You go back and look at the scores that have been in those games. I think they held Wylie to 14 points. Last week, I think they held Lakeview to 7 points. So, man, what a challenge for us on both sides of the ball to go out there and get after it. HBJ, that's our second home. Right. So go, that's PTSD though, right?
Exactly.
Me and you, we looked back at that game back in 2021,
it was
and they beat us. So that there's something about the program that they believe that they can win, but there's no doubt we believe we can win as well. And I think we can go out there and have a great week of practice and take care of business.
All right. Well, big role environment, big game. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with numbers and things like that from the quarterback. We know what we're facing this week. So we just need you guys to come out and support us. HBJ Thursday. This Thursday, 7, not another 5:30 game, thank God. 7 o'clock Thursday, HBJ. Coach, got anything you want to say to the fans?
No, y'all. Everybody's been great all year long, and we're not 7-0 just because of the kids and the coaches, but the parents and the community that's all come out there and giving us support. There's nothing like our kids being excited to play for a great community. So we're excited for this Thursday. All
right. We want to thank Backyard Murphy for opening their doors and letting us come in and film here. Coach, good luck this Thursday, and go Raiders.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Quick